Hey, welcome. Grab a seat anywhere. No, we don't have any menus. The only thing we have today is the freedom to express who you truly are. We call it Authenticity Radio. You'll like it, don't worry. Let me go grab the host. He's got the hospitality of a fat and jolly innkeeper. He's a good guy. Slade Suter.
And thank you very much for joining us today. This is Slade Suter. I'm very happy that you've decided to join us today because...
Come and take a trip in my rocket ship. We'll have a lovely afternoon. Kiss the world goodbye.
We are in for better days. And you are not crazy, are you? Or should we say you are crazy?
It depends who you ask.
Craig, let me introduce you. Hold on.
Okay, good.
Craig Lewis, welcome to Authenticity Radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Slade. It's my honor and pleasure to be here.
It is so awesome to have you on here. I mean, okay, just to finish your introduction, to do you well, is that you, Craig, are a certified peer counselor?
Yes.
Okay, and you work with mental health addiction and trauma.
Yes, I work with adults who struggle with mental health addiction and trauma.
Wow, this is awesome. Okay, now you've written 2 books. The first one is Better Days.
Right, which is a workbook, and the second book is You're Crazy, which is an anthology that I put together of other people's stories.
Okay, and why You're Crazy? Can you tell us a little bit of what is behind this book?
I can tell you a lot about that. I'll try to keep it brief. So the title, You're Crazy, is me taking back those very hurtful words that people have used to identify me as a person that they would consider crazy, instead of perhaps recognizing that my reactions to things that were going on in my life or social experiences were actually reasonable responses to unreasonable situations. So when I had the idea of putting together a book to let both the contributors to the book and anyone reading the book know that they are not alone, that there are many people out there in the world with, somewhat similar and, of course, different experiences, but all connected by the fact that we struggle and that we're out there. And yes, of course, the punk component is important to the book. However, anybody who struggles, for them to know that there are other people out there struggling as well, and not only struggling in a way that maybe would be considered poor functioning, yet also struggling for a better life, for a happier life, for a more satisfying life. And that's a message that is crucial, personally, to me, to make sure that is conveyed. Anyone out there who struggles can choose to hopefully embrace the concepts that they can do things in their life to make their life better, make choices that will allow them to feel happier and healthier and live more satisfying lives.
That's your first book, Better Days.
Exactly. I mean, Better Days, Mental Health Recovery Workbook is based on that struggle that I've experienced to be in this recovery process, to learn how to use, coping skills and to kind of retrain my brain and, cognitively get myself to adjust how I react to things, how to make better choices, to recognize that there's things that I'm doing to contribute to my own suffering, even if I've been victimized all these years and I learned these maladaptive coping skills and I've been, robbed of a average person's regular life of, coming to age and a teenager and maturing and getting a job and a family. Maybe I have lost all those things, and I can look back and I can blame that if I want, or I can say, what's done is done. What am I doing now? What can I do today? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And what do I know about myself? And, honestly, Slade, you and me and everybody, we're the experts on ourselves, and we know best. A psychiatric provider, a social worker, anybody, a parent can tell us that what they think is best for us. But you know what? We are the experts on ourselves. And Better Days Workbook is about acknowledging, identifying that expertise and finding ways, based on our experiences, what we know about ourselves, what's worked, what's contributed to our suffering, how would we prefer things to go, what kind of steps would we like to take to make things better, and then applying it and integrating it. And I can tell you that the Better Days Workbook, based on my own life, and I know it's being used in dozens of programs throughout the United States and beyond, and people are benefiting from it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, life-changing thing for me to have this book in available and being used. And one more beautiful thing about Better Days is that it began as part of an internship project when I first went back to school in the mid-late 2000s. And I had then, working in the fields of mental health, and this Better Days Workbook was developed as a support group format, and years passed, and it was just sitting in my drawer, and I just said, you know what, let's put this together and make a book out of it. And I've done that, and the response has been overwhelmingly awesome, and my life has radically improved and changed for the better thanks to something that I did years ago and just shelved in the drawer and forgot about. So it's remarkable that that kind of all that I've been through brought me to speaking with you and all the other people I connect with on a daily and weekly basis on this topic of getting well and fighting for a better life. And it's amazing. It's remarkable life that I'm living, that's how I got here.
That is so nice. Craig, I'm so happy that you are here on this program today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here as well.
and also you're calling for accountability. And what I liked a lot about what you said is that ultimately we are responsible to be our own doctors, to be our own spiritual directors, to be our own, to take the responsibility for ourselves. And,
absolutely.
And to return, to take a look at ourselves. And it seems like you are not into labeling. It looks like you're taking a look at things as they are, without judging them good and bad.
Good and bad are just labels that we give, they're just values we give things that happen. So, every experience we can label good or bad, but every experience is actually good or bad if we choose it to be. So every experience we have is a potential learning opportunity to take from that experience, take the knowledge, and apply it to our lives. So, and also just a comment of one bit on accountability. Yes, for me to be accountable for my life, my choices, if I make a mistake, if I've made an error, if I've wronged somebody, it is extremely empowering for me to take responsibility and say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and this is the real crucial part of that. This is what I'm doing to make sure I don't make that mistake again. I'm taking steps to get support in how I cope with things that I faced in life. I'm personally committed to this, perhaps meeting with somebody who's giving me support and how to handle these things, and I'm going forward with the intent to not make these same mistakes again. And that right there is accountability, 101, and in a way that most people don't even get if they don't have that kind of broken down for them like that. And to be able to do that and take that accountability will radically change your life over time with hard work. The more we're accountable for ourselves, the more self-examining of our lives and our choices and our behaviors we apply to ourselves, the happier, healthier, more satisfied we're going to be with our life. And I believe in that 100%.
Wow, Craig. So individuals that are listening to this program that are saying, you know what, maybe Craig might be able to help me out or give me some pointers, or people that are interested in purchasing your book, where would you have them go?
You can go to my website, which is www.betterdaysrecovery.com, betterdaysrecovery.com, and they can find out about Better Days there. And the other book, You're Crazy, and is an ongoing series, so I am looking for contributors from around the world who have some sort of connection to the punk scene, and to have them contribute. They can get in touch with me as well, and that website is www.punksinrecovery.com. That's PUNKS in recovery.com. And in addition to seeking out my work, and of course I am absolutely happy to have you get the book, and I think if people got a copy of Better Days, and that would hopefully be helpful to them, and I do believe in it. And in addition to that, Google is our friend. Search engines will help us get the information we need to find out what's locally available. So to really help ourselves, we don't have to be helpless. We learn to be helpless. It's called learned helplessness. We learn this through our experiences. And you know what? If you have a computer, which is I think how people listen to this interview, go on Google and in your area search for recovery, peer support services, coping skills in my area, support groups. You will very, very likely find that there are people in your area who provide these kind of services, but there are endless ways that we can help ourselves, and that we can be in charge of us developing a happier, healthier life. So whether that's going on YouTube and watching videos on meditation to kind of help ourselves, or seeking out community acupuncture, or identifying that exercise helps us cope with our struggles, or whatever it may be, we are the ones who are in charge. So I encourage you to check out my books. I'd be honored if you did. And in addition to that, you are really the one. We are the ones in charge, and we can make these decisions to help ourselves, whether anyone else supports us in that or not, and whether or not anyone else even believes in us. We can still acknowledge that we're the experts on ourselves, and that there's things we can do to make our lives better, and no one can take that away from you.
Wow, Craig, what wonderful words you have, especially for people who have struggled so much in the past that it would be so easy for someone to say, well, I am who I am because of my past. And you are saying, well, not necessarily so. You're saying you have a choice. You have a choice.
Yes, I am saying that. People who are angry or resistant to taking any steps to help themselves are so for good reason. They've been mistreated. They've been disrespected. And that usually I try to validate that. That's the one thing I miss, but so important that because there are people out there listening who are going to say, well, that doesn't apply to me, or I've been burned so many times, I refuse to do anything. And it's really so crucial to validate that there's good reason why you're that way, and I get that, and I respect that, and it's okay. And you're listening to me talk about this stuff, and take from it what you will. And the thing is, Slade, is that whether they're resistant or angry or refusing to hear it, it's planting seeds in their brain. And at some point, something might happen, something might change that might allow them to take a step forward. And for them to have that in their brain somewhere, that seed that they heard this guy on the radio talk about doing this process successfully, then that might help empower them to, when they're ready, to blossom in the way that they need and want to.
Craig Lewis, what is your bottom line message that you would like to deliver to humanity?
My bottom line message that I'd like to deliver to humanity is that when we work hard at helping ourselves, when we are dedicated to taking steps to improve our lives, to learn better ways to cope with the things we face in life that are troubling, when we develop coping skills that are helpful and effective for ourselves so that we can handle the situations we face in a more effective way, so we have a better result. When we work on this, when we invest ourselves, when we try hard, I believe without any question that this process, these steps will result in improvements to our lives so we can live happier, healthier, more satisfying lives. Absolutely. That's what I believe. And I will say that anywhere, saying it to you here and to the people listening and to anyone I come in contact with, and I actually have to remind myself of that sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling during the day. But absolutely, that's what I believe.
Okay, Craig Lewis.
Thank you.
When we work hard, and when we try, and when we make decisions in our lives, we can make a difference within our
Absolutely.
lives. Okay. And Craig Lewis, thank you so much for taking your time in joining Authenticity Radio today.
Thanks so much for having me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Will do, along with so many other people who have listened to this. This is Slade Suter. Until next time, be authentic, be true, and be free.
Say you're in